Welcome back to my channel if you're returning, or welcome if you've never seen me before. Today I've decided to talk about something that's quite culturally relevant at the moment, and I've decided to just voice my opinions on the matter. I never really wanted to make such a serious video because I myself am a laid back, happy-go-lucky type of person, so having to do something like this really just shows how much that it's impacted me and everyone else in the world. As you may know, a guy called George Floyd was murdered by a police officer, and this has caused worldwide outrage amongst everybody. And I have a few issues with that. Majority of what's happened I agree with, but there are a few things that I feel like should change. For starters, the whole ACAB thing. If you don't know, ACAB stands for All Cops Are Bastards. I disagree with this statement. Because yes, while police brutality has been something that's been happening for many, many years, longer than I've been alive, I think it's wrong to generalise police officers in that way. I don't think that all cops should get responsibility for this, because it's not all cops. Cops aren't necessarily the issue. It's the racism and it's the racist attitudes behind it that's the issue. Only a minority of police have engaged in police brutality, right? So it's not fair to just assume that a small percentage of the population represents the whole population. I think that only the people who have actually done this should be held accountable. And this goes for a lot of things. Don't generalise a group of people just because of the minority. For example, another thing that I feel I should talk about are the riots and protests that are going on at the moment. They have been happening all over America. It started off as peaceful protests, but quickly things began getting violent. I've seen videos of police officers running over people. I've seen videos of people getting attacked on the streets, of fighting each other. And while I will say that is not ideal, and I think that it's sad that things have resorted to this, I do understand. As a history student in the past, part of my course was to learn about the civil rights movement. And I realise now that if you were to just go by peacefully protesting, the government tends to ignore that. It's really sad to think that the only way that things will ever change and the only way that people will get the attention that they deserve to make the points that they want and to get the results that they're after is for violence and anarchy to reign. So I totally understand why people are protesting. I see no issue with that myself, because after a while, the talking and stuff, it just doesn't work. People want to see results now. It's been too long. Another thing that I find myself having a problem with is I'm seeing people being like, oh, Black Lives Matter? Shouldn't it be all lives matter? Well, you have to understand that Black people have been being oppressed for over 200 years. The slavery thing started in the 1800s. It's 2020. Racism has not improved. Well, it has improved, but racism is still occurring in everyday life. I myself have been a victim to racist people, literally just out in the streets while I was going to college. It's something that happens to everybody. Well, I feel like most people would have experienced some form of discrimination if they weren't white or male, because even females experience discrimination just for their gender. And unfortunately, I happen to be a black female, so I get both ends of the stick. I think that the way Donald Trump has chosen to handle this as well has been absolutely appalling. Condoning violence from police officers to break up the protests is terrible. I have seen videos of people getting run over by cars, getting tear gas canisters thrown at them. It is dreadful to see. It's disgusting, to be honest. Because if there's already violence breaking out amongst the people, then allowing the police to be violent and spreading more violence does not help anything. I feel like the reason why he chooses to just hide away is because he doesn't think anything should change. Now, obviously, I can't speak on behalf of Donald Trump because I don't know him. I'm just a random 17-year-old from England. But I think that instead of hiding away and instead of not doing anything, he should publicly speak about the matter. He should maybe try and meet up with a few of the protesters and understand what they're trying to do, what they're trying to achieve. Because none of this is without purpose. There is a point to all of this. And the point is that we as black people are tired of living as second-class citizens. Now, thankfully for me, I live in England. So I find that the blatant racism isn't as obvious. But I have still experienced it in my life. It's never like as bad as it is in America, but it's still there. And I feel like it's everywhere. If you're just of a different skin tone, you will be treated differently. I also feel that I may not be too educated on the subject, and I may be speaking out of my lane. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, because after all, I'm just voicing my opinions on camera. It doesn't necessarily mean much. I just wish that things weren't the way they are. I find it absolutely horrible. Like, last week, I went outside, I walked through the park, and it was all fine. Nobody looked at me or said anything to me. I was just listening to my music, happily going for a walk. But today, I went out and I was stopped by several different people who were telling me to be safe and telling me to stay strong. The fact that it's gotten to the point where strangers feel the need to inform me to stay safe in my own area, it's crazy. I'm thankful that they did, because it shows that they are not racist. They don't have any malintent for me. But I don't think it should be like that. In an ideal world, I would be able to just live my life like anybody else. Obviously, I know, given my circumstances, which I'm not going to explain now, that can't happen. But ideally, even with my circumstances, that shouldn't matter. Because after all, I'm young and I'm intelligent, and I am planning to go to university to make a career for myself. But if people are just going to judge me by the colour of my skin, what chance do I have of making a life for myself? It's ridiculous. Like, I was talking with my mom, and she said it wasn't a good idea to make this video or to speak on the matter, as she's worried for me. She's worried that I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. But I see no need, because this is my opinion, this is my voice, and you can't silence it. I'm going to say what I have to say. I think I think that the pointless violence needs to stop. I think that the riots and the protesting is unnecessary because what they are trying to achieve is basic human rights. It's fundamentally just the way everyone should live. You know? All they really want is just to be treated like another person instead of a second-class citizen. I myself don't really find that I get treated too differently. And if I do, it is for other reasons, trust me. But knowing that there are some places in the world that I shouldn't go to because my life would be at risk is terrifying. I love traveling, but I can't really, I wouldn't feel safe going to America. And that's a first world country. There are countries that have wars and famine and disease. And I would honestly feel safer going to those places than going to America. Because at least that way, if anything happened to me, it's for a reason. Whereas if I go to America, I could literally just get randomly stopped on the streets by a police officer and killed for absolutely nothing. I'm not a violent person, which is why this is so shocking to me. I don't want to see anyone else die for any reason. I think that it just needs to stop because it's terrifying, honestly. I shouldn't be terrified. I shouldn't have to feel scared. It's ridiculous. Because in a situation like this, while there are so many people supporting Black Lives Matter, there will be just as many people who are opposed to it. This is an opportunity for the closet racists to come out and feel okay about not liking this. And that's the thing, if I leave my house, I don't know who supports me and who doesn't. I don't know who immediately hates me just by looking at me and who doesn't. It's not safe for me to leave my house at the moment. And the fact that I even think that is horrible. I just feel like things should change. This month is also Pride Month. This is a month to stop oppression, not just of Black people, oppression of queer people, oppression of people of colour, oppression of women. This movement is for more than just Black Lives Matter. This movement's for everybody. Yes, the main catalyst was George Floyd's death, unfortunately. But I feel like this was something that was necessary to take a step forward. And I feel that hopefully, with some divine intervention, things will change. Because if not, I don't know if I want to live in this world. I don't know if I want to live in a world where I can't be accepted. Because if people don't like me, that's okay. I never really cared to begin with. But at least have a reason for not liking me. Just because of the way I was born, it's not really much of a reason, is it? I can't change that. It's not like I chose to be black after all. But yeah, that's my little rant over. Thank you for watching. If you sat all the way through, much appreciated. Please leave a like, share this video. I want people to know what just an average 17-year-old girl thinks about this. Leave a like, subscribe if you want, and hopefully the next video will be more cheerful. Thank you. Bye.